Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So, in this session today, we're going to talk about the cloud and DevOps interview tips, and we'll cover. We'll take Q and A. Any question that might come in your mind, we'll certainly answer that as well. So, before starting the session, I think it takes some time, say around 1 minute at least, so people to come online. They start to get notified and come right. So the first thing I want that if you guys are joining, watching the session, do let me know from where you are like watching this video. I would love to know that. And if you have any question, feel free to ask here. Okay, it's an open platform. I would love to provide and go ahead and ask it. No question is small. No question is silly. Nothing like that. Okay, all are good questions. So go ahead and ask the yes. Tejas has the first like. Thank Tejas. Okay, I like this actually. This feature actually, the new one is actually showing the comments in bigger screen. I would like that. Good. Okay. Okay. Looks like everyone's joining pretty quick. Wow. Okay. Okay. So now I think since people have started joining and see that joining and all, let's start it. Now, before even starting the interview and all things, I want to thank you guys why exactly are you willing to like get a job in DevOps or maybe start a career as a DevOps? That should be the first answer thing. Because I can just blindly start talking about review tips and all, but let's think from the heart. Why you want to come into DevOps? For I will just say my reasons to come into DevOps first of all. Then I would love to know your reasons as well. So I think if you guys are following me, I know I already worked in PHP, JavaScript, Node.js, Python, Go, and all. And what happening in the project if you are working in any project, okay, any client project, you're stuck in that particular, you know, field of one particular programming and related things for years and years. If you don't leave the company, of course. Now, what I found to be more lucrative in DevOps, that is not a case here. You will be working with so many different technologies that you will never get bored. Usually I too get bored if I'm working on some single tech for many years. I do really get bored. I work for many years for same company, of course, that I know. But while working in DevOps, and why the reason I choose DevOps is actually I don't get bored. Because even if a single project I get actually, there is so many challenges in a single project that make me entertained all over the time. For example, today I'm working on say Terraform. Okay, I deployed that particular say EKS or say EKS cluster or maybe some for example EC2 instances and all. Then I'll be using Ansible to do the patches in the different hosts and all. Maybe some automatic some automation configuration I will do via the Ansible. Do some CI/CD via Jenkins or maybe AWS tools based on the requirement of the client and thinking of the budget. And for example, now let's say I have to write as a DevOps engineer. I do write the automation script. Sometimes I write in Python, sometimes in JavaScript, sometimes in Ruby on Rails, sometimes in Go as well. And that makes me always entertained. I never get bored. It's always something new, something innovative, something challenging I'm working on. That's the reason I finally chose to continue as a DevOps engineer and the cloud DevOps engineer because most of the things I do are very cloud specific, AWS, GCP or Azure based. Not the on-prem. I don't do that much of on-prem work. I know many people as a DevOps engineer do the on-prem work, and I do really. They also very skilled, no doubt on that. That I found personally that cloud part has more opportunities, more pay, like more income. As an engineer, what do you want? As a very good handsome salary also, right? Not just job because you're working job to get paid to fit things, right? Now that is one thing you want to get a higher pay, right? That is also I personally found out that working with cloud DevOps technologies you get paid more than the on-prem work. Now I might be not that accurate, is of course fine, you guys can rectify me, okay, if you are making that we get good money. But I found it's more lucrative, it's more opportunity or more rewarding to do cloud DevOps. Okay, of course, being challenging, learning, always being entertained and all. So that's the reason I chose DevOps. Now it could be you for suppose you are going for DevOps just because the crowd going for. think for 1 minute or maybe 5 minutes or maybe 1 month, whatever you require, and think very carefully that do you really want to go with all this hardship? Do you want to really explore all the tech? You will be in the dev team, you will be in the operations team, like DevOps, of course, the name you already understand why it is. You will be working the full cycle. You will be implementing security measures. You will be implementing patching system. You will be doing cloud as infra as a cloud. You will be infra as a code. You will be doing patching, fixing, monitoring, advanced monitoring, automation, and whatnot. It's definitely challenging. It's definitely exciting, but you don't just do because everybody else doing it. No, it has to be your interest from inside. Of course, I will definitely encourage people to explore this option. But again, if you're SD or something and you want to try out those, fine. But make decision after you are certain out. Like you are enjoying this, then only do it. Okay. One question I think many people ask that like for DevOps engineer, why DevOps don't have a high salary? I actually disagree with that particular point. I myself get a very good high package, and I think it's above and more than any SD packages that I believe in the market right now. And I know many people, not just me. I know many people who are making huge money as a DevOps engineer. Of course, with experienced people, not just that they cannot give a very huge package to freshers. But what I've seen, experienced engineers do really make very good high money, even more than the senior SDs. I'm doing it. Like, then should be there should be no such doubt anymore. So I will be coming to all that. Now, again, let's move to the topic of like now you understood why you should go for DevOps if you have the interest, if you want to explore multiple technologies, not just stuck in a single programming language, single specific task. You are welcome to be a DevOps engineer. Of course, it's your complete own interest, but I'm just giving you some hints before we are jumping into the DevOps train. Okay. Now, now let's come and think about uh, like what should be the next thing. You are certain that you love to work on DevOps as a, like you want to start your DevOps career, or maybe you're already in DevOps career, want to move to a better company or better opportunity, or maybe somehow you're stagnated, you're getting bored in your existing position, you want to move on. Maybe sometimes it's your salary, you are not that's not getting increased in your current job, you want to get more salary. Now the reason could be anything, absolutely anything. Okay, you don't have to explain the reason to any HR. Some HR ask you, but they should have no reason. They just ask the out of privilege, but absolutely there is no reason. You want to something do better, it could be any reason. You want to make a switch, you're switching it. Now when I mean, what are the ways you can first like before even going for interview, we have to apply for different jobs, right? For that part, I would suggest LinkedIn jobs, very good. If any recruiter doing direct, like posting directly on LinkedIn or any social media and giving you an email ID or say a particular link to apply on, that's actually better. Um, and other than this, you have your job markets, right? Monster.com, Times Job. So a lot of job sites are there. You can go for that one. But I will give my first preference to dedicated site like LinkedIn Jobs, Cut Short, Insta Hire. This kind of places is actually do this recruiting fast forward. Okay, rather than the other site. I don't want to talk mention the name very often, but there are a lot of job sites. So finding the job is very important. Then comes the interview. Now before even like after you are certain that you're going to apply for a particular position, you verify that the skills that you're is matching, what they're offering, the perks, the environment they're offering is as per your expectations. Then you make a decision to apply for a particular position, right? So in that case, you should make sure that it's a genuine post and all. Try to reach a recruiter. Normal cases, what happens? You need a very good resume. Otherwise, normal cases, what happening? Even I've seen last few weeks also. Many actually complained as well that they're applying for jobs, but not is not getting selected. They're not getting proper reply and all. Okay, so for that what I will suggest is that first that make sure your resume is ATS compatible. So what is that resume is ATS compatible? It means that if you like, what happens, these companies actually get a lot of applications. Okay, and then I in my last post also I tried to cover that one in LinkedIn, that what happened that recruiters gets a lot of lot of lot of this application and all resumes and all, and it's very tough for them to go through all the profiles individually and all the resume individually. So what they do, and most of the companies actually do that, they have their ATA software or application tracking system, or you can say resume analyzing at a software, where they run some keyword search, and if the particular keyword is actually matching, then only they will select it profile, and they run some additional option, like additional condition. If the keyword not matching, reject this application automatically. That way they reduce the number of application, and they can focus on particular, like top 5 result or top 10 result or maybe top 100 results. They focus on there. Maybe it's 1,000 application, it's sorted down to 100 only, or maybe 200 based on their searches and all. So that's what I'm saying. Your resume has to be also a very good, ATS compatible. There are a lot of sites who have this kind of resume template. You can go to Microsoft resume template. That's even better. That's more searchable. Google, you just search about ATS compatible resume, you'll find lots of it. Okay, just go for that. Now, once you do that, you fill up your details, your experience. Try to focus on putting more projects data. Don't expose too much, it might harm the actual company. So do till that it doesn't harm your existing company, or don't expose the secrets like that. Okay, just saying what technologies you work on, what kind of software you develop, or what kind of application you develop is fine. Just explain what you did. Okay, that should be more than enough. After that, there will be your cover letter also. Many, actually what happens is many recruiters prefer a cover letter. So it's better if you can, like, again, the sample you can get from Google, you can get from any resume making site. Lots of things are available. You just get a copy and modify it based on your experience, and you simply fill that out. That you can do. So that you should do actually. And that's the part, resume making and applying. Try to send directly to the, if possible, if you have the recruiter's email, directly send the resume to recruiter's email. That actually have made higher chances of your resume getting selected, as I know so far. So after that is done, and suppose you are selected, so congratulations. Then after selection, what happens? Okay, so in reality and usual cases, if it's a big tech firms, there are 4 or 5, maybe maximum 6, 7, 8, based on the position. So very very critical position could be 8, mid level to senior level. In general positions, it could be maximum to 4 or 5. Okay, maximum is too much many 6. So you can put the average should be 4. Okay, so let's keep the average as a 4. So 4 rounds of interview will be there. In the first interview round, it will be a phone round or maybe a video call round, where the HR will have a brief discussion about your experiences, what are the expectations. Some HR ask about your salary and all, but it should not be actually, because whatever the offer you have in the offer, that should be it. Or maybe what is the expectation, you just say something. Current cities, it doesn't matter in most of cases, but Indian HR specifically, they will definitely gonna ask about the CDC, so that they can make a very less counter offer, and that's the reality current days. You know that. That's why the reason I don't work for the domestic company. Now, what happens, you, like, in that phase, they get a brief of like what would be your your cost to the company, what could be your experience, like what are the kind of experience you can bring to the company, what are the experience you have. So they will make a very overview profile, and they will try to see if that match with the requirement or not. Like if that ultimately match with the requirement, they will simply say okay, you are selected, and you are selected for the next round. Now, in this first phase, what are the things you have to worry about, or you should focus on? First, in most of cases, previously it was supposed to be an phone calls, but these days is all, because there is no physical interviews these days, right? So as a primary, or you can say the initial phase, the recruiters in the company in general are preferring for video call, be in Zoom, be in this Google Meet and all. So just to get prepared just before 1 hour, okay, um, breathe, have water, have some food is good, and with fresh minds, and whatever you are supposed to tell, you can keep a note of that as well. That actually helps. Okay, that actually helps your mind to be focused. Okay, these are the point. It can be out of that question, that's fine. It will be more generic question, it will be not a technical interview or no technical question, nothing like that. It's just a phone call. So better Make sure you have a note of what you're going to say. That will be useful. And of course, keep a notepad ready so that any points that you discuss, you keep a note of that. That will be helpful in the next phases, because the recruiter might say we're going to be working on this take, that take. We're going to having this interview rounds, we're going to be focusing on this cloud or that cloud. So what happens if you don't focus, you will eventually forget after the interview ends. Maybe you're going to sleep, or you're going to watch a movie and you forget. So just keep a note of that. It will be helpful so that you can later on, just to prepare for the interview, you can check, okay, these are the things you'll be covering, these are the things gonna ask, or these are the things gonna have to cover. So let's prepare for it. Okay, just for your preparation phase, you should be keeping a note in a notepad. Okay. Now, what are the next thing you're gonna do? You have to make sure your internet is really good, because suppose while the interview is going on and suddenly what happens, you disconnect. It's excusable. Things can happen, but it's expected, like, to make a very good impression and make sure the interview a big success. The initial level itself, you should, for Wi-Fi, there is a portable, you can say, power backups available. Okay, and actually that connects to a main power socket and then connect to this particular power bank. It support around 3 4 5 hours sometimes, mostly more than, like, normal cases a call last for 30 minutes to 1 hour max, not more than that. So that should, small power backups cost around 2000 to 5000 based on the quality you choose, but all support more than 1 hour of support. So that's the kind of emergency power supply for your this routers, so that you don't get disconnected from internet. Because phone is good, but sometimes phone have a lot of problems. It's small device, right? And the internet, the process, the speed will be lower. Okay, no matter if you have very high end phone. That also, like, I have a very high end phone from Redmi. Still, when I do meeting from it, it's not that level when I do via my laptop with the Wi-Fi, or maybe the LAN connected. And yeah, make sure that you're connected to the LAN, because sometimes Wi-Fi may interrupt. You might miss something what the recruiter is saying. So to make sure that you don't have this kind of like, problems and all, you should use the LAN cable. Okay, as if you use that cable, you should use that. Now, after that, uh, so always remember that recruiter is always judging your interaction. It's not just like the communication skill. Okay, that's one of the important part. If you are not confident enough on the communication skill, like, anyway, you guys know that it's more of the cases, like, not just more cases, most of the cases, like 100% of cases these days, all are English interviews. If you are not confident, take sure that, like, make sure that you are having some preparation. There are a lot of communication courses available, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, in YouTube in general, for sure. I mean, it's completely free of cost available. So make sure you take those ones before appearing for these interviews if you don't have the confidence. This is for the freshers actually, who are from the Bengali medium or Hindi medium, don't have that level of grab on the English medium. Because I am from a Bengali medium. I know what are the struggles a non-English medium student face while going through all these interviews and all. So I know the problem. I was like you before, while talking with people all over the world. It improved a bit. I will not say I'm expert on it, but it improved a lot better than previous one. Okay, so what I'm saying, have a practice of communication. Okay, that's very important. So while a interviewer asks you any questions, you should be clearly answer that. So you have to clear your intent. What you're supposed to say, you say that proudly, confidently. Just say it, no matter what. Okay, because the more you fumble, the more you be hesitant, the less chances of you getting selected. That's the reality. So that's the very important part while doing your first round of interview. Okay, now, in specific to cloud technology, now let's come to more of the tech topics. What are the things they're going to ask, right? I mean, I think last 6 months back around, I was giving interviews like crazy. Around how much? Around 28 to 30 around I've interview given. Most cases, the common question was, do you have any certification? That's the begin with. I say, yeah, I have AWS Solution certification in DevOps and Solution Architect. That was a plus point. If you don't have, you can say I'm preparing for it. If you're really preparing for it, or if you say if I get a job, then I will be for promotion purpose and be learning purpose. If you guys provide support, I will definitely be interested in going for certification. So you have to show some positiveness. Okay, that will be a plus point. If you don't have certification after, I mean, if that only. Then they will ask you about what are the like services you work on in any particular cloud, which is the cloud position. Okay, and you can say like I work with EC2, I work with IAM, ECS, EKS, S3. Like what are the services that you use in general? If suppose you work with some SDKs, so I say I work with AWS SDKs in using Python, Boto 3, or maybe Node.js SDK or Ruby SDK, whatever the SDK you work on, that will be again another plus point. Then you can say like they might ask you like, are you experiencing the security part? Because these days interviewer asking about security, because security is important these days. You are seeing so many problems, right? The breaches and all. So I think out of 30, around 10 or 12 companies around ask me about the security question, like what are the measures, like are you taking any measures for security? I say yes, I use encryption specifically in AWS environment, I use KMS. So you have to explain what you did if you have at all implemented any security part. Okay, again, these are the tips. Don't expect that this question might come to your interview. I have faced. I'm just sharing my experience, my tips that might be useful for you. Okay, think that way, just a usefulness. Okay, now after that they might ask you that did you work in a team or you work individually? So just simply say that if you work in a team of say three, or manage two people, or train three more people, whatever it is, if you have trained people, that's a plus point. Like I do train people a lot. Suppose you work in a team, like I work usually in, I simply say that I work in a team of 5 or 10, whatever it is. They say, do you like speak in an event, or do you have any open source codes? I say yes, I have my GitHub open all. Or like these are things, whatever you have already maybe missed, or maybe even provided recruiter ask, you can simply say yes, just refer to my resume, and you can say that. Okay, now what are the additional thing they may ask? They might ask you about, sure, like tell me something, like any interesting project that you work on that you like to, like you're proud of, or maybe something that will not expose too much. So if you have any work on any particular project, do let them know. If it's public projects, so mainly cases websites and all, or maybe any application. Say you're a Swiggy developer, for example. Say I work in a Swiggy app, or suppose you are an Uber engineer, so front end or back end or cloud or whatever it is. I work in this particular app, the cloud part, back end part, front end part, whatever it is. Suppose you work in any XYZ app. So say I worked in the front end, or with app development, maybe the cloud development. Simply say what you did. Okay, that will be helpful. If it's a very secret project, white level project, you might be hesitant, that's fine. Just say I work this kind of project. It's like a booking project, or let's say a SaaS project. So whatever the project you work on, simply say that. If you can't name the project, or you cannot give the direct reference to the project, you can say that as well. Okay, so what next then? After that, you should no, like if they even stop sometime, you have to be very confident and ask them, do you have any more question? If they say no, then that's your spot. Okay, so you should actually ask the question, like why this, what are the additional perks for the company, what is the recruitment process, what are the interview rounds. If sometimes they mention in the mail, if in the offer in the mail that don't include, in the initial phase itself you can verify that part. Okay, and they will tell you that these many phases are there, or you have to be prepared like that. So ask whatever question you have in your mind in the initial phase, and that is fine. The recruiters actually expect you to ask the question in the beginning itself, not at the end when it's over. So just ask the question, whatever question you might have, that would be really really useful. Now some recruiter asked me actually, like you get a option to what you will prefer. Will you be interested more from work from home? Will you be interested more in a work from office, or will be interested in a hybrid mode? Now here again, no hard and fast rule. Okay, just say to them like whatever your preference, because I do prefer the remote opportunity, so I go for the remote. Okay, now that's come to the behavioral parts. Now that is the initial round where they ask you about your experiences. Like say if you're a DevOps engineer, they will ask you about like, what are the technologies tools you use. Like as in the cloud, they ask about the AWS specific questions, like what are the services you use, any certification. In DevOps, they might ask you like what are the tools you use, like Jenkins, Terraform, and all. If suppose they just make it average one, and suppose you say that what I know, and you can ask them like what are the additional tool and technologies getting used by the company, if I can know about them. Sometimes they actually say like, okay, we are using Kafka, we are using, says, uh, Datadog, any particular tools technologies, and if suppose you know them, you say, okay, I know out of these things I missed, but I know this two or three tech. That will be actually also, because you might have missed in the initial, but now once you verified with the recruiter or the whatever is recruiting, now you can reconfirm what you missed and you're saying to them, okay, I know these things. That will be again a plus point. Okay, so that's one thing. Now after the first round is over, the second round in for cloud and DevOps, it will be a bit different. So cloud solution architect, it will be different, but cloud engineer and DevOps engineer, it could be a separate phase. Okay, but I'm coming to that part. Before that, let's see any question or not. Okay, a lot of questions, and yeah, keep asking the questions. So there should be no problem. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, do feel free to ask. I see a lot of question. Yes, I think that's what I'm trying. Like common question, I'll be saying them. Don't worry. I'm saying already, right? So I'll be coming to the like four phases, right? So I'll be coming to phase by phase. So don't worry. It's one question. Datadog Splunk. I do have a plan, but not at immediately. Could be on later phases. Okay. Okay. Looks like a lot of good questions, and I'll be coming to all the questions. So don't worry. Just go ahead and ask the question. Okay. Okay, so that's the first. I think for the first phase, if you guys have any questions, do feel free to let me know. I will definitely answer. Looks like no more question on the first phase. Uh, yes. Now the second phase. I think the second phase is the cutoff phase. You can say, where a lot of people get cut off. Why, I will come to that later, but I will say what are the things you're going to give. I mean, it's a phase of, you can say, assessment phase or initial, coding round phase for DevOps engineer. So first, the cloud part. Suppose you are working, you want to apply for a cloud solution architect, or a cloud architect in general. Those phases you have to answer the scenario based question, like the one you cleared on the, say, this AWS not interview, I would say AWS certification exams and all. Kind of that, you will give a they will give us scenarios. You have to select the scenarios. The only problem is actually, in AWS, you get, sometimes you get your options, right? I mean, not sometimes, you mostly get your options, right? Here you might not get any option at all sometimes. I have seen it. So I actually applied for one position where it was a cloud, I think cloud head, something like that. And there was scenario questions, and there was actually no answers. So from the scratch, you have to define what you're supposed to do. There will be no help at all. So that's why you have to be, those kind of positions, like, you have to be very knowledgeable on that. So that's what I'm saying. Not just that. I think another one also had like minimal options, not much. You have to give a brief of what you're going for the solution. You have to explain that in a box. That also you can happen. For this is what I've seen for the cloud solution architect, cloud engineer, not cloud engineer, cloud solution architect positions. Okay. Now in that also, I mean, this kind of question you get, like how to use ACT, how to like auto scaling and all, auto scaling related questions, sometime container related questions, sometime, like most of the cases I've seen, cloud networking question, nine not 90, I'll say 80% question involves some form of networking, storage, security, all those combined. Again, just as a reference, you can refer to the question you get in the AWS certification exams. More of that, but again, without much options. That's the only negative part. Now that's for the cloud engineer. Sorry, I'm again confusing with cloud engineer. That's for the cloud solution architect position. Now, what is for the cloud engineer? Now, engineer in the sense, they'll be actually making the deployments using cloud formation, or say maybe you have to write code for serverless Lambda using Python and Go, or maybe JavaScript. Those are the positions where, like, you have to actually do hands-on in the cloud, not just architecturing, designing it. You have to implement a solution. Okay, those are the more cloud engineer specific position. Or maybe DevOps engineer, you have to do CI/CD, you have to do infra as a code, you have to do system debugging, everything. So in this two kind of position, you really have to have a technical, say coding session or coding round. Okay, and additional question and like questions round could be there. So MCU multiple choice question could be there. It's not like it's a mandatory, but sometime I've seen. I say out of 30 interviews, five have multiple choice questions, others not. Others were mainly, I think, 26 was the more common, like all over the technical coding round. Now, what are the things they ask you to do in the coding round? I think you guys are interested in knowing that, right? So in the coding round, first I have seen like using choice of your programming language, could be Python, could be shell scripting, could be any other programming language. You have to one message. Sure, you are missing the question from others. Okay, so if anyone asking question that getting not coming in the feed, is fine. I will reply later, so don't worry. Okay, now the thing is that I was in the coding. Yeah, coding. So in the coding phase, using your choice of your programming language, you have to do some tasks. First one I have seen commonly. I'm going to explain the common ones, not a platform like a company specific. Common I've seen log processing. Suppose you have a say a log from a load balancer, maybe Nginx logs. That's a very good common thing. From that log, you have to analyze the log using any choice of your programming language. How much is the status? How many actually status code 400? How many actually status code 500 or around 500, 5101, 23, or maybe 401, 23, or 400 not found, those kind of things. Maybe status code failure, all those things. Using that choice of your programming, you have to analyze the text file or log file and get the value out of the log. Okay, and you have to provide that. Then, or maybe I'm giving some another example. Say how many like from a particular IP, how many requests are there? Suppose you have a 10,000 IP in the list where you got the traffic. Out of that, which IP had the most traffic? Or give me the top 10 most traffic IPs. Okay, those are the things you might have to develop. Now you might think that okay, you have a lot of time, but in reality, you have to complete maybe on 20-30 minutes, sometime even 10 minutes. They don't regard, they think you're a super max pro level engineer, so you have to complete in 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it takes time. Okay, I for me it took I think around one for one case 30 minutes, one case 40 minutes, because the log was big and there are a lot of missing things. So it takes time. Okay, I agree. For me took time, and that's fine. For the 10 minutes one, I am not able to complete in 10 minutes. That they're expecting us to complete. So it happens. They could have high expectation. You cannot match to everyone, every company, right? So yeah. Then that's a common one. Another one I was getting is that creating a manifest in Kubernetes to deploy a container. Okay, that from scratch. Now, what they're allowing, just like the Kubernetes exam, you get allowed to just go to the documentation side and do all that. Here also, you will be allowed to go to Kubernetes documentation site and search for it. Get a very simple template, and I think that takes to me less time. I just got a template. I got the image link was there. They have to just additional task was actually add a health check probe that I added. That's not a big issue. And if fail, then it should automatically restart. Those kind of things are there, and that's actually very easy to find and all. That is common where you have to have the Kubernetes skill that is required. Otherwise, fine again. Okay. Another, in case of Jenkins, if you suppose your Jenkins is a required skill there, for that you might get two kind of things. One is that they might ask you to create a pipeline, so they will give a very brief, say a particular a browser where you will work on create the things. Maybe you can these days you can dynamically generate the environment, right, for the exam situations. So I think they did the same thing where you go the Jenkins, you configure the pipeline. They expect from two ways. You can create the Jenkins file in there you configure all the using scripting, or you can go to directly to the Jenkins and do based on your you can say based on your the more you feel better based on your feeling, you can like what you find is easy, you do that way. Okay. Now in that one, I do write. Okay, I do write using Groovy scripting and all, declarative and not declarative, both ways. But I found it more comfortable to go to the Jenkins UI and do it. I did it, and there was not a problem. I was selected in that position. I didn't join. That's the later thing I will discuss. But I do pass that one, and they just have to just complete it, and they will check later on. It's fine. I think they have some even automation automatically using Python. Now I understand that using Python API, they're fetching the JSON and they're matching. Maybe is JSON working or not? Trying maybe running deployment and checking deployment, giving expected output or not. It was for me. I think container. I think not deploy container building and pushing to some container repo, mostly ECR. I think it was. So that what I had to do. So I was like I already what happened. Just 2 days before that, I did the exact same task. So it was fresh in my mind, and I had no problem at all. So that's what I did. It was amazing. Other than that, another common could be if it's a Terraform, it's going to be common. They will give you a messy code. Messy code in the sense, I will not say messy code, that might be too much to say. I will say they're very normal, you write code, right? Normal, like in the same Terraform file, you have your variables defined, you have your output defines, you have all your resources defined. I call it personally messy code. And they ask me, Sandeep, convert that thing to modular code. You have 40 minutes or 30 minutes. I think even sometimes some people give me 1 hour also. And it was like piece of cake, to be honest, because I was working in modules, Terraform module day and night. So it was not a that I think within 15 to 20 minutes it was it's a big code, mainly AWS resources, networking, this and that. So I did modulation based on my experience, mainly based on the use cases. I did the division because it was a for web app, it was for security checking, auditing, it was a QA, it was for like different thing was there based on different. I took make that variables very dynamic. I make the state file dynamic and make sure it's stored in S3 with strongly consistent in the DynamoDB table. I did knew all that. It was fresh in my brain, so it was also a good thing. Okay, so that gone actually really good. And the recruiter, so like after taking the interviews, come to me and say, Sandeep, you did excellent job. We're expecting less than that from other people, but you did really excellent. So you will get chance to impress the people around the say, interview or in the company. Even the company hiring manager also in the next call joins, Sandeep, you're really excellent. That kind of impression you have to make if you want the to get up really faster. So that was another good one when you get asked to actually do the modulation of the code, because most cases like you will get the code here and there. You have to just make it reusable, modular, those kind of things. So code modulation was there for one particular interview. Now again, coding, I think I already covered the coding part. So coding part based on your choice, you could have asked maybe log processing, maybe write some automation scripting. Only two cases actually I have seen out of 30 interviews last time when I started to look for job. Two interviews I have to write a serverless. Okay, now that serverless was actually a CloudWatch function will check the status of a site and report. If it's down, it will report to the say emails via I think simple SES to the different people. That was actually also I tried before, so it was also not a problem. Again, these are the real use cases that came from to me in interview, and I implemented that same thing for some clients. So that was not a problem for me. That was actually really good thing that came in the interview. And addition to that, there are some firewalls, log processing, and some using Lambda. And in I think out of two interview, one interview, it was uploading a image. Like as soon as the image getting uploaded in the S3, it has to process and convert to thumbnail, larger, smaller. Using GM or say there's many graphics manipulation libraries available. You have to convert to different sizes. That was also actually I did work. So I seen a tutorial some places, and they allowed me to go to any tutorial, any site, and that was easy. So that was actually a good one that I did. Another interview, it was they gave me to implement the KMS solution security, because that company paying me really high, and they make sure the security question covered. So I will say security asked in different interviews, but as a practical question came to only two companies out of 30. So some companies, I mean, but that company took it very seriously, asked me to implement the KMS encryption, what is the customer managed key, what is the server managed key, all that they asked, and asked me why I implement the particular solution. That was a strict interview, to be honest. So that is another good question. So these are the things you get asked in the second phase, where it could be the coding round. Addition to that, it could be some, like if it's a DevOps position, it's of course there will be coding. If it's a senior position, sometime or maybe most of the time, if it's a, say, it's a requirement to, you should know Terraform. It's a requirement you should know, say, Ansible or Jenkins. It's a requirement. They can ask the additional questions. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that. As I told, I mean that one I have faced, but I think one of my mentee actually in the Terraform, he given I think interview. There he was asked in the second interview itself. After the basic coding, he just did some coding in the Python. Now he was actually having the big company, and he got some algorithm question. I also get, oh yeah, I think I missed the algorithm part. Oh, that is a bad thing. So yeah, I too face the DS questions in around six companies, not all companies. Out of the this 30 companies, I think six companies around ask me the, like, ask me in the sense, in the interview itself there is some DS question, you can see. And those companies were actually, I would say, big company. It's not a small company. They have a very big team, around 500 people or more. So I was expecting that, in to be honest on that. And yeah, it's more of the, I think, some complexity finding. It was some customer number of customer finding who are willing to purchase. So those kind of question that you see in the lead code, or that hacker rank. The same thing came, and I had some practice there. I'm not that much a competitive coder. I don't have much time. So yeah, I still did some, before going interview. They mentioned also in the interview there will be some DS question in the these interviews, like exams, you can say, or assessment test. So I did prepare for this. Luckily came something common. So when I passed also in thing, out of that in three, not in all six. Three I failed because I'm not that kind of DS guy. Okay, so I think three I passed because things came from common ID. I did practice that. So I think practice also makes a very very important part here. If you're especially trying for big companies like Google, Amazon, those kind of places, you will see the DS related interview. Any big company like Frank Lemon company, or near to them, you will see at DS level questions. So you should be waiting for that as well. Okay. Other than that, I think that was the most common in the question. Either you will get some real life questions like log processing, automation creating, as I told, or maybe this kind of DS question, or maybe both. It might be 2 hour. Sometimes it's like too much time it takes, 2 hour assessment test, and they need to give. So second phase will go all this testing and all. If you pass the second phase, if and only if you pass, okay, there's a third phase. Now what actually happened in the third phase? Now in the third phase, they will ask you about the solution that you did in the second phase. So you must have completed, you passed that one. Now did you do that genuinely, or you just copy paste from somewhere? Like this things can happen, right? Even if you have all this visual checks and all. So they will ask you about the explanations. If you can explain, that's well. If you not, that will be problem. So make sure that whatever you did in the exam in the second phase, you should be able to explain when the interview asks you about that. Okay. Now, in addition to that, I think there was they will ask you about some, say it's a in a DevOps interview. Okay, I'll first come to DevOps first. Okay. So it's DevOps interview. They will ask you about Terraform, different lifecycle policies. They will ask you about how to create a module, how to do migration from normal code to module-based code, or module to module code, how to do the migration statements using loop statements. Okay, they will ask you about how you can, how to implement the CI/CD for the Terraform, or they may ask you the how to integrate multiple provider in a single project. I guess common, but they will just ask you, make sure that you work on. They will ask you to maintain how you can proficiently maintain the state file, what you should prefer using S3 or say Terraform cloud or any other cloud, why, what is the explanation behind your preference. Okay, those things. They might ask you about the security part, so how you should make sure that your inputs variables are secured in the Terraform, or maybe in Ansible the variables you're passing in the group words, how to make sure that are very secure, how to make sure you're patching the system periodically. So like running a cron job by Ansible to the patch fixing, how you're verifying the patch fixing success, otherwise what is your rollback policy. So they will ask you all these around questions, like normal things you do as a DevOps engineer on daily basis. Expects many from that will come as a normal, the generic questions. Okay, and I think other than that, there was one important question. Yeah, Lambda serverless question are coming these days. Actually, I've seen that time a lot of like in the, even if they miss in the exams in the second phase, in the third phase they ask you about, did you work in any serverless technology like AWS Lambda or other clouds. Do you work in serverless databases in AWS? If it's AWS specific position also, like if it's a cloud and AWS specific. Now they will ask you about, did you did you do you work on the DynamoDB, in if it's the DevOps role kind of thing in the AWS specific. They ask you that also. I mean, I think two company asked him about DynamoDB. Did you like they had a stack where DynamoDB getting utilized. They want to make sure that as DevOps engineer you're joining, you will be using Terraform and all to create the databases, maintain the databases, add more features and all. So those kind of thing. That's why they ask in that interview, if I'm remembering right. Other than this, I think. Yeah, they will come, like say Kubernetes, they will ask about the cluster IP, the services. They will ask about the difference between the services and the cluster IP. They will ask about the stateful and stateless. They'll ask about the security in Kubernetes. They will ask about migration questions, like suppose we are running on-prem, say as a DevOps or cloud, it could be common. Okay, this question actually very common. They will ask you that if your things are running in say your servers are running in a on-prem, okay, and you have to migrate all the clusters, all the databases and everything to cloud. Could be any cloud. For example, our case we are thinking is a AWS cloud, because most cases I was giving AWS specific interviews, so that's why AWS related question asked. So there you have to first, the question will be migrating the databases, okay, and make sure it's a live migration going on till all the traffic go to new cluster, new instance in the cloud. So you have to make sure each cloud service provider actually provide you some tools. Here say is a DMS tool provided by AWS, where you actually can migrate or keep migrating the database or keep copying the newly created data till all the traffic stop serving to old instances to new instances. You can do that. But yeah, in migration, you can do the dump restore, and after dump restore, you can run the migration to only copy the newer record. That could be actually faster. So you have to give them options also. Like these are the ways you can do the database migration. Then they will come to the cloud migration. There are a lot of ways you can do the cloud instance based, like the migration, the compute migration. So the most efficient and actually easier one I found till now is the container based migration. So whatever things services you are using, whatever the code you are doing, actually what should be the ideal environment to run this code. You make a container, use the image, use the libraries, binaries inside the image, like put everything in the image to make sure your application running fine. You test it really well. If you're satisfied, give me the image. As a DevOps engineer, I just need the image. I will anyway point to that, the application you DB host URL will point to the new database. So it's fine anyway. You deploy it anyway. The database migration going on, so it will be no problem. Addition to that, sometime what happen. It takes some time to propagate from like older traffic to new traffic. In those cases, suppose like already some catchy, that some places the IP also get catch it, right, in the DNS level. So for that, in the host level, you have to add a HTTP 302 redirection, so that it will automatically redirect traffic to the newer instance or newer host. That those things actually are the real life use cases that get asked in different interviews, and if you can answer them, you will definitely have a very great chance to get a job, right? Now, that's all in the, there's a lot of other questions also. Like, I think in Kubernetes, how to do the upgrade of the different versions. Every single month, I think they're releasing, but that's not the case. Of course, there is a release schedule in Kubernetes, just like any big cloud tool and providers. So that's fine. They will ask that. They, I think, around five interviews. It was Jenkins migration also from one server to another server. Yeah, even upgradation also came to one or two interviews. Will say how you will do the Jenkins updates. You are running this version to some XYZ version. How will make sure that nothing crash, nothing bad happen. Even if something bad happen, what should be your revert back time and all. So those are the things. I think other than that, there was I think even four companies ask the disaster recovery related question, like how to make sure if all clusters are down, maybe this kind of, say, any region failure happen. So how you can quickly copy, like run the entire infra in another region, and there will be as much, like as less as possible. That should be the uptime should be there. So you have to give them the plan accordingly, like we'll be having Terraform or say cloud formation, where it will be taking this only less time for the cluster to up with the minimum traffic load, and you can scale from this to that if you use the auto scaling policy to put all the logic, all the reason behind it to explain the things. The better you explain, the better you get, like better the chances of you getting the opportunity. Okay, that's that I'll say. So other than that, if you say very cloud specific, I will say not just cloud specific, in about even if you're going for the DevOps in your position also, networking related, specifically cloud networking related question get asked a lot. Like, what are the CIDR in a subnet? We need this many CIDR. What should be your plan? If you use any tool for this, all this CIDR calculation, feel free to let the recruiter know, because not everybody can remember all these logics and all, right? You just, they want to know you worked on, you have some hands-on experience, you can handle this. That is their intention. Okay, so that should be good enough. Other than that, I think, yeah, mostly these things. If anything comes in mind, I remember something, I will definitely say that. So that was more of the third round, question answer round. Now the fourth round. Now fourth round, it will be 90% cases very high level engineers, like senior engineer will come, and they will ask you questions. They will ask you, like, how many years experience you have in this particular tech. In our project we are using XYZ technology. Are you will be comfortable working on that? Like, it's a round that you already passed 1 2 3. You are more than eligible than any other people who are like applied in the company. So you have more chances, right? They want to be double sure that you can handle the things that you're supposed to get task on. Or maybe this is the round to decide what are the tasks you'll be most suitable at. Okay, so, and if you perform, but don't just think that you can perform badly in this phase and that's something that good can happen. It will be bad. Okay, the better you can present yourself, the better you can communicate in this stage also, you might get really really good jobs or good tasks. If you fail at this phase, you might get really bad tasks. That's, I'm really speaking from experience. So yes. So say whatever technology you worked on in the past, simply feel free to say to the senior manager or the peer programmer, maybe it could be a peer programmer. So simply say to them that these are the stuffs that are gonna like worked on. I'll be interested to work on this, say Terraform or Ansible or Jenkins or Chef, whatever it is you are interested to work on, maybe AWS cloud service, these things. Simply say to them. If they have any task, they will simply give a preference to you, because you're interested to work on those. You might get it done faster than the person who is not willing to do it, right? So that is also a very important thing. Other than that, they will try to mostly see what are the depth of your experience, how you're handling things, some experience. You can say it's your experience session, sharing session as well. So the more you better explain, the better it is. And you might have see sometime I've seen for medium companies, small companies, around 15 to 20 most probably. Again, I don't know the exact numbers, but it will be around 15 to 20 cases in the interview where the CTO came and he explained this. Uh, and I listened. Then we had a talk. We had some plans. Like, what could be like he simply asked like, you watch your our thing, what are your suggestion to improve this further, uh, this kind of question they ask. So you have to give some input. If you have any question then you text tag during to the responsibility my gate, you simply clear it. If you are not liking it after going deeper, suppose you are going to work on mostly cases, say you're supposed to work, you are thinking you're going to work on Kubernetes, Terraform, all this, and then they in the final interview they say no, you have to work on system debugging or support job. That can happen. That happened multiple times with me. So I'm not a support guy. I'm a very tech savvy guy. I'm more of in the programming, more in the actual development, deployment. I'm not a person who is going to give a support to the people as much possible. No, I'm not a support guy. I think I rejected many of her because I'm not a support guy. Okay, but the way the interviews actually frame, the like sometime there is a meme going on, right? That sometimes the look of a dinosaur is coming as a toy dinosaur, that kind of thing. It looked very intimidating in the interview first few rounds, and the final interview round you found out, oh, it's a support job. So, or maybe very small job, or maybe it's not required all this complexity at all. That happened multiple times, not one two three, more than that. Okay, more than that happened. So that's what I'm saying. It depends. It depends. In the final round also, you should work for that offer, the opportunity or not. You should decide your own also in the last round. You make sure you clarify all the doubts you might have in your mind from the top seniors. Like they're senior, they're peer programmers, right? In the last interview they will do. Okay, and in this phase actually. Uh, you mainly do communicate. Even sometime there is another phase for negotiation, or maybe in this phase you can just sit, because you're sitting with the top minds, you can negotiate also. So that phase, as I say, that's what I say, like sometimes 5 phases, sometimes 8 phases, sometimes 4 phases on general, like this I'm assuming it's a 4 phase interview round, where all your question you get answered and all. They are very confident hiring you, they are asking about the expectations. um, Now based on your experience, based on your experience, certification, your knowledge and all, everything combined, you should bit I would say negotiate your salary as high as, because their aim is to as low as possible, your aim is to as high as possible. Of course in the beginning you should have asked the pay range, because if it is a less to begin with, you should not waste your time or not theirs. Don't I don't even know. I just ask in an initial interview or the parents, if it's not like, if I'm already making more than that, what is the point of me appearing in this kind of interviews, right? So many have happened that the pay is really less. I'm not that interested at all. I didn't even like go for second pay. I say sorry, but I'm not interested because of this pay range. I simply say them, the pay range I'm getting a lot higher. I'm making a lot higher than what you're just offering. I'm not interested. So be very clear on that from the beginning itself. So that's how, as a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer in general, you should have, like from this all you discussing, you might understand. You should have it's a cloud, then networking, security and all that. With a DevOps position, you should have different tool knowledge, programming knowledge, because I've seen 90% plus cases where there's a coding round, sometime with is DS. Sometimes, again, I say sometimes, not every cases, for mid and small, no DS in rounds, but for top companies or for the bigger product companies, I have seen there is a DS round. So you prepare according to that. Leak code and this hacker rank is your friend for preparation in this in case of this kind of interview rounds. Okay. I talked a lot. Now, yeah, for the DevOps, you have the tools knowledge, basically migration skills also as a DevOps engineer. Other than that, security knowledge, networking knowledge required, no matter it's a cloud role or a DevOps role. Debugging specific knowledge is very required in a DevOps engineer. Okay, so yeah, those are the things you should be taking care of. Okay, now let's see. So let's see what are the questions. It's Teja. Now this is all Q round. I'll just go through all the questions and see what are the ask them. Okay. So Teja saying he's from Visakhapatnam. Thank you Teja from joining Visakhapatnam. Thank you Sharat. It's Hiroshi from Tamil Nadu. As can you use ELK in ECS? Mainly, I've seen ELK stack in the Kubernetes, but if you want to, you certainly can. I think there is. I mean, I had not done personally, to be honest, in the ECS, but I think it's quite possible. No problem. But I have to see that one. Give me 1 minute. Someone has door, and I have to check it. 1 minute. Oh, okay. A guest gift is fine. I'll just cover the questions quickly. Okay, so what are the next question? Hey Pooja, hey Jashkaran, Sandip, could you please suggest any DevOps projects for hands-on? In there are there's a one particular GitHub repo where you get a lot of DevOps projects. I know that right now I don't have the link with me, but I know I've seen that. I will make a public post on LinkedIn on that if you guys like it. There's a lot very good questions was there, so we'll go for that. Okay. Um, mm, it's Syed saying that DevOps market is going down due to too many fake profiles. Yes. It's another story. You see what happening these days. Many fake people. Specifically, I think some it's a Bharat something was then Bharat Kumar Reddy. I think there's the same Reddy scam. I think I was talked about in LinkedIn. Those people Anna something. What they're using actually copying no Anna, but I don't know it's a fake or not. Someone saying it's a fake, but I don't know actually. But this Bharat part I know it's a fake one. He's like copying people post and all, and they're proposing like they're creating thousands, even millions, I think maybe fake profiles or DevOps engineer. They're targeting the DevOps community because it's right now hot in the market. That's why it's actually market is not going down, but fake profile actually creating problem for the real engineers. Okay, they are offering cheap solutions like I'm going to do it for $5, $10, and what happening? They deliver nothing, zero, and it's making down the confidence of the clients getting down because of these people. Okay, so these are the scammers, but have scammers every places. So what you can say on that? But yeah, in general, DevOps market is not going down. Contrary to that, is actually going up. So not to worry on that. Okay, there will be always fake profiles, no matter what you do. Bro, why? As I said, DevOps have high salary. If it's a senior post, senior DevOps positions really have very good salary packages. And most cases, to become like it is of course possible to have junior DevOps engineer, but I think DevOps is a position where you need coding experience, you need SDLC full development experience. So it's a position mostly for the senior engineers. Of course, juniors can come, but they have to go through a more struggle phase than the already senior SD or because ultimately what happening a SD person only becoming or a senior tech person, sometimes even QA and also that's also fine, but they're already in the tech profession they have already some experience that is required to become DevOps engineers that they're becoming, but who are freshers. Of course, it's possible. It's more than possible for a fresher to come to DevOps, but you have to work harder than any other people. You have to learn all the tools and takes. You have to prepare and all. So you have to be prepared for that. Okay, but yeah, in general, it's a myth that DevOps engineer salary is less than the SD salary. Maybe it's the company, the profile you're exploring the opportunity you're seeing, that might have particular low offers, but in general, if you have the experience, if you have the whatever is required to become a DevOps engineer in general, if you have the skills, you'll get the right pay. It's not like that. It is low paid than SD. And for me, it was never like that. I get paid. I think a lot more than the general SDs. Okay. Um, say why do okay. I think the same question I answered. Range bata do sir ji. I mean, see, any job you do, suppose an engineer can earn 5 lakh, an engineer can earn 10 lakh, an engineer can earn 20 lakh, an engineer can earn 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 50 lakh, 60 lakh, 1 crore. You see the package, right? So, based on one individual's capacity, capability, experience, this parents matters. As I say, there is no hard set range. Okay, If you are a, but in general, you can say if you are a DevOps engineer with at least 5 year experience, you should be fetching at least 30 lakh or 40 lakh. Okay, that should be your goal there. But of course, to become that, you should know infra as a code. You should have one programming knowledge. See, SD you only need programming. As a DevOps engineer, you need programming, you need operations, you need cloud knowledge, you need Jenkins, you need Terraform. Why the salary could going to be less? You are doing more than us SD, right? You should have more, right? Think that way. Um, Side DevOps market is, I think yeah, and free experience. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Already answered that. How can you get jobs with 10 years career gap from education? See, career gaps are happen, okay, sometime for many reasons. But I've seen people with career gaps also get opportunities. It's not that unlikely, right? Could be any reason from education to 10 years job. I don't think many recruiter will ask if you have the experience, if you have good skills and all. Some ask, you just give them the honest answer. That will be good thing. Okay, it's the exchange thing. I failed in interviews uh, multiple times. I have knowledge, can do things like create infrastructure, network using IC, but I am not able to remember the terms and process. That's why I'm saying now you should start. I mean, I think I said in past session you should keep your notes, because what happens, we have the habit of doing things, and you see, this only happens because you are not working on this particular tech daily. If you're a infra as a code engineer, you work on a daily basis. I can guarantee you will not forget every single thing. You might forget some terms, but you cannot forget every single thing. That's not possible. That's what I'm saying. If you are forgetting things, do more hands-on. Keep note of things that you're working on. You will definitely have a, like, you'll pass the interviews. Don't worry. So next question: what are the types of questions to be asked in Deloitte? No, I didn't get the Deloitte interview. Sorry, I cannot say. But any engineer work in Deloitte, feel free to answer this question. Okay. Okay, saying that if it's like a if it's like if you can give me a task, we'll eventually figure it out a way. That's what happened. If we get a task, we'll search about it. If we don't know it, and we'll make it done. I mean, we'll get it done. But that's not the case. When giving interviews, they want it to be done. Maybe it's a peer coding. It's more dangerous. They will see what you're doing. You're searching or not. You're doing or not. Okay, that's the thing. So you have to be prepared. Okay, and you have to keep a note of everything what you do. So I'm working in DevOps engineering. They want experience, want to make switch, but no one is taking fresher. They're asking. They say it's more of the experience get preferred for, of course, for good reasons. But you should not, lose your heart or mind. Just prepare for it. Keep giving interviews. Not every company will take it, but some companies where they have senior engineers, one apprentice engineer, maybe the associate engineers, they will hire you. So keep applying for the opportunities. Um, you have said I have knowledge in Linux and Terraform front and back end. Question now, what are the path I should take expert? I mean, get expert. Again, it's based on your interest. If you are more of a SD, like more of the development, you focus on the back end and all front end. If you are more of a cloud or DevOps guy, you focus on the AWS, Terraform, Linux, all the DevOps tools. Easy. Um, okay, I answered it. Don't worry. Without hands-on in DevOps, can I clear interview even though plus? No. Or maybe yes. It based on the interview question. You don't know, I don't know, right? What they're gonna ask you during interview. If you interview whatever question asked is common, you can answer. If it's come to uncommon questions, you might not able to answer. If you don't able to answer, you don't get the job. That's easy it is. Now, important tools, cloud, one particular cloud you need knowledge, AWS, Azure, GCP. You need DevOps with Terraform, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Ansible. The other tools getting used will be like most questions will be around it. Other than that, I think yeah, some programming questions should be good enough. Um, hmm, how much should I ask a fresher DevOps engineer? I don't know if a company how much. You should go to Glassdoor or those kind of site where you see the pay range. There are a lot of site can you help you find out the pay range. You should ask as per that. I don't know the UK range for fresher. Sir, already given almost 30 interview. Please share common questions. So, yeah, I've already given. How to get remote from foreign countries? You stop tutoring and different freelancing like Upwork, freelancing.com. So, it's good enough. So, do you have any plans for detox? As I said, later on I will definitely do. How can I make change in job if you want one experience in DevOps engineering? Such keep giving interviews, learn from the failures in different interviews, so make the get more prepared so that you pass the interviews. Of course, the tools I have said, prepare for that. It will be good. How much? As I say already. Uh, what is the difference between cloud engineer and DevOps? See, cloud engineer more of the cloud specific. They will like work on like, more of the say cloud, say AWS, the running EC2 instance, any problem, patching, different services working. Those things they will be focusing on networking and all. DevOps engineer will be focusing on say client developer requirements, client requirements. They make sure the communication is well. They make sure all the testing process in the place, all the CI/CD in place. Make sure automation whatever required to automate anything that's in place. Make sure the smooth deployment process is there. Which cloud engineer again the cloud engineer focusing to make sure cloud is functioning properly. DevOps engineer making sure every part of the functioning to make sure the product release faster should function well. So that's the big difference. How to get job, give interviews, have the skills, you get the job. Productization support. Thank you, Sai. Uh, thank you for good information. Please share the question from us. I will do in separate session, okay? Because freshers question are a bit different. Freshers should focus on the tools, cloud, and programming. That's common for the seniors also. They will like shell scripting, Python. No, they also like for automation writing, you need shell scripting and Python. Or CI/CD writing, also you need this kind of scripting. For infra as a cloud, like to deploy the cloud services, you need Terraform, Cloud Formation, CDK, these kind of tools. For configuration management, like installing software, making the software starting, restarting, what are the state you want that to be happening, that course you install, I mean you have that Ansible kind of tool for I think for monitoring you implement more advanced monitoring and alerting systems and all those things you do. Okay, so how is certification like CK Terraform? CK is definitely helpful. Terraform is very easy. I'm not counting that one. What is the expected salary with the certification? Nothing. I mean, certification just a gate pass will help you get a like interview based on your experience skills. You will get a job. Be it a fresher, be it as experience. Okay. Should I ask for? Should I ask? Yes. You can ask. I mean, I ask it. So it's fine. The Lambda, do you need UI, CLI? I mean, you can use CLI, you can use UI. I usually use the serverless framework and then use that one for developing. And then use the serverless deployment, like commands to deploy it. You can refer to their documentation also while giving interview. The case is mostly using in production projects now. Yes, yes. In case I'm seeing many, not many, lot of projects coming, is EK specific. Okay, complete BTech technical, complete exam now. I decided to move to sector to job with developers. Yeah, it's good. If you have the side skill, you are interested or not. Your take on GCP Azure. Again, this one is actually very large discussion. I work in most cases AWS, but there are engineers who work on GCP Azure. It's all their own thing. But market wise, AWS have still have the greater market. Uh, it's really great working at Turing. Bro, I have completed BTech. I think that's done. Do we need Terraform or CloudFormation as well? Automation. Yes, if you're going towards the DevOps, you should have at least one infra as a code tool. Okay, I think that's it for today. That a question I will definitely try to cover. If I miss anything, do let me know in LinkedIn messages or in this video's chat section after this video is done. You will see a chat section in the bottom. You can ask there. I will definitely reply. Thank you everyone for staying this long. I know this is a very long session. It's already wow 1 hour. Yeah, I was supposed to be only 1 hour, but extended into 40 minutes. Fine. Thank you for staying this long. I hope you find this session useful. If you find this useful, do like this video, share this video with others. Do subscribe my channel. I do try to make this channel as much as useful for many people, especially if you're a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, and programmers, because I have been all three in my career. Yeah, and one as a like before going as a piece of career advice. Um, One question is saying, could you please elaborate path to become site? That I will like. I have planned a separate session on site SID engineers. I will do that there. Okay, I'm not covering here, but I will have a separate session. Don't worry. Um, okay, one question I think I should cover. Can you suggest best one Udemy courses? What I'm gonna do. I will. I was thinking from long time. I will make a list of the tools and best courses. I will share on the LinkedIn. Okay, you can cheaper course, 500 rupees range. Fine. Okay, I have to go somewhere, so I'll be going. Before that, before going, I want to say, if you want to become a DevOps engineer in the next era, the current era itself also, lot of opportunities coming in the decentralized financing, blockchain application deployment as a DevOps engineer, and the pay range is extremely high as well. I myself want to get into that. I'm learning that. So if you're a senior engineer in general, if you have some idea on blockchain and all, it will be really good. You can focus on that to get a really not many great opportunities. I'm focusing on that. If you are a senior DevOps engineer in general, have good experience skills and all, you might should also focus on that. It is giving really good packages. So mind that. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for staying this long. I hope to see you soon in my some next session or some next tutorial. Enjoy the weekend.